Hey gang, Chonky here. Today's class breakdown video is going to be on none other than the Ranger. Now let's get into it. So before I really break down the abilities and stats and gear for the Ranger, I just want to take a moment to talk about what I feel are the pros and cons for this class. I don't really have a lot of complaints now that I've played this character for almost 200 levels. The class itself, way stronger than I originally estimated. This class is powerful. I would even argue that the DPS is way more consistent than the Rogue and the Wizard, and I'll get into that. But there's a lot of really cool things that the Ranger can do. So first off, one of the first pros I would say is that this class is entirely ranged. There's no melee moves or anything. No abilities that are gonna whiff because you can't hit the bee that's 5 feet above your head or something like that. All of the moves are ranged. There's really good survivability with this class, especially after recent patches. The healing flask of the Ranger does a full 150% regen over 5 seconds. That's 25% of your max health a second. And this is actually really, really strong. I think it's actually the strongest flat heal in the game. Like the Wizards might be better because you can buff it, and so my Wizard's heal is like 130% instantly. And then you can reset the cooldown with sleep, but the healing vapors for the Ranger, without having any buffs at all, 150% over 5 seconds is incredible. This class has a lot of survivability between healing vapors and the Ranger's Flask, which is just straight damage mitigation. Fantastic moves, fantastic moves. The other pro I would say for this class, which is kind of unique, is that you can really focus between Magic Pen and Armor Pen, or do a hybrid. So what I mean by that is, with all of the abilities, and we'll get into them in just a moment, the Ranger has a pretty even split between physical damage and nature damage. I would say nature damage is stronger, especially with the elite set bonuses that you get. But the physical damage side is also really fun and incredibly powerful. And with the potential that the class has with the elite sets, being able to focus Magic Pen or Armor Pen or both, that really gives you a lot of creative freedom when it comes to building your armor sets and grinding out the best stuff for you personally. It's going to come down to, when you're building your armor, when you craft it, it's like, oh, well, do we want to hybridize? Do we want to just focus physical damage, or do we want to focus nature damage? It's actually pretty cool. Some cons, though. I will say a couple cons for the class. One con for me is that it is easy to miss auto attacks and some of your skills. So, being a Ranger, you shoot arrows and they don't have the biggest hitbox, and a lot of times enemies will jump around, or they'll just like move in a slightly unintended way, and I've missed plenty of skill shots by shooting like between limbs, or they like bounce in the air really quick and whoop, and my shot just goes slightly to the side of them. So you can miss a lot of your skills if you're not paying attention. But when you are able to just, land all of your abilities and you just watch all of the HP drop, it's really cool. So even though the moves are kind of hard to miss, it's not that... even though it is possible to miss your skills and your auto attacks, I don't think it's that detrimental. The Ranger's still really strong. One thing that is a little lackluster for me, though, is the ultimate ability for the Ranger. At level 15, every class gets like a big overall ability. The Ranger's is called the Blessing of Finesse, and all it does is make you a little faster. Now you get 15% increased movement speed for 10 minutes, which is nice, but since you don't even get it until level 15, I think it would be cool if you sort of had something a little extra, maybe an attack speed buff as well. But yeah, that's a little bit of a con for me, is just how underwhelming the final ability is. That might be changed in the future. My last con for the class, which is for most of the classes, is that there's no CC breaks. Now, this is supplemented by buying Samrock's Wicked Grog, which is this fantastic item in the Icy Depths. Makes you immune to CC for 8 seconds, and then if you get buffs to food duration from your necklaces, your trinkets, or your rings, you can make it even more so. Like, I think on my cleric, I have 13 seconds of CC immunity. It's really nice. But aside from that, that's what I feel the pros and cons are. Overall, the class is incredibly fun and incredibly powerful. And what's nice is the elite sets, which we'll get into later, are all good. You know, some of the other elite sets are kind of lackluster. Like me personally, the champion has the first elite armor set, the Crypt Lord set. I'm not a big fan of it. Prioritizes one-handed skills like shield bash and shield throw, and I don't really use the one-handed stuff with the champion yet, so I don't know. For me, it was easy for me to avoid those armors, but with the ranger, it's like I want all of the armor. All of the abilities are really powerful, and I'll show you all the stuff that you get. But before that, let's get into abilities. Okay, so going down the list, we have aim shot. It's your standard auto attack. Generates a flurry, which is the same as every other class. If you hit 5 auto attacks, you get 10% damage increase on whatever you do next, be it an auto attack or an ability. And it is based on physical damage. So this is going to benefit if you want to do an armor pen build. The next one is Poison Arrow. This move you get pretty early on. I think this is your first skill unlocked. And this is a good hybrid of physical and nature damage. So no matter what, this move is always going to be good for you to use. The cooldown is not bad. Without reductions, it's 8 seconds long. And this move right here is going to be one of your main single target DPS moves. It's really strong, really strong. And it gets a lot of buffs from a couple of the sets. Rapid Fire, the next move. This is a really fun move. 14-second cooldown without any cooldown reduction. But you shoot 8 arrows at the enemy and they deal 85% nature damage. It's kind of like using Magic Missile on the Wizard, but way more of like a laser beam, because the Wizard's Magic Missile can spread out. And I believe one of the devs told me it was like 13 Magic Missiles from the Wizard, and this is only 8, but this is in a straight line. You can really send them on home, and you can get a lot of damage out of Rapid Fire with some of the other skill synergies that we'll talk about. This is another really good single target move. Going down the list, we're going to go to Healing Vapors. We already spoke about it a little bit earlier, but arguably the best heal in the game right now, 150% over 5 seconds. It's incredible. The cooldown is 12 seconds long. One of the elite sets reduces the cooldown a little bit by using Rapid Fire, but overall this heal is incredible. Salvo. So this move is kind of like a shotgun. You just shoot a couple arrows in front of you and knock all enemies back. You fire, I think it's 3 volleys of arrows, and each one has a knockback. So you can really send enemies away from you if they're starting to crowd around you. It does only nature damage, and it also slows them for 70%. So a lot of times I'll use Salvo and knock enemies away, and then put a Blight Arrow down, which we'll get to, and just light them up with Rapid Fire, or I'll use Deadly Shot into Aim Shot because I have the Dread Ranger gear, which we'll also get into. But Salvo is actually surprisingly useful with the other classes like Cleric and Wizard and their use of Flame Blast and Holy Blast. I was kind of dismissive of it. I didn't really respect the moves probably as much as I should have. But Salvo being the CC, like the knockback move for the Ranger, really good. I actually use Salvo quite a lot. Paralyzing Shot, the next move for the Ranger. This is only dealing physical damage, and this roots an enemy in place. Now, like other CC stuff, this doesn't work on a boss. But this is not too bad of a move. I don't use it probably as much as I should. I do pretty good damage, so I don't really need to root enemies in place. But if you're in, say, the grasslands and you're fighting those big trolls that look like Karg, and you want to keep them away from you, Paralyzing Shot should work on them. Or if there's some nasty enemies in the Dreadforge, like Ash Gorgers, you could Paralyzing Shot them, keep them away from you. So it does have some uses. I just don't give it the respect it deserves. Deadly Shot. Now this move is pretty cool. When I first got it, I was kind of dismissive of it. It's like, okay, you zoom in and You get to do a single shot that does really good physical damage, but that's it. And I just kind of wrote it off. It was kind of like the Chaos Orb for the Wizard. Like, yeah, it's cool, it does good damage, but what else can I do? And then I saw what the Elite sets can do for Deadly Shot, and they really unlocked the potential of this move, and we'll get into that. So Deadly Shot really earned a lot of my respect. Fantastic move. Now, Blight Arrow. This move is also really good. I think this is going to be your best AoE move that you can really just melt rooms of enemies with the Ranger. So what Blight Arrow does is you shoot an arrow into the sky, and it lays down an AoE of poison. And this poison normally lasts for 4 seconds, but you can extend it with the Elite sets, and it does really good nature damage to all enemies within 5 meters. And you can also increase this size with I think it's the Crypt Stalker set. You double the size of Blight Arrow, and it looks huge. Like, it takes up so much space. It's really good. So, Blight Arrow, fantastic move. The cooldown, the natural cooldown is, let me see my notes, is 12 seconds. But with all of the AoE nature damage, it being great for mobs and bosses alike, and with the Crypt Stalker buffs, oh, mwah, chef's kiss. Toxic Arrow. So this move, I think, really ties in the magic damage aspect or the nature damage aspect of the Ranger. So this move, you shoot someone and it does flat physical damage right away, but it increases all nature damage by 40% for the next, what's my notes? 5 seconds. Mine is increased up to 10 seconds due to buffs, which is really nice to have it work for that long. Especially since, I don't know if you see right there, but my cooldown is only 1 second. And that's from a Elite set, which, I mean, having a spammable Toxic Arrow is incredible. Normally the cooldown is 5 seconds long, which is not that bad since the effect of Toxic Arrow lasts for 5 seconds. So you can apply it. The moment it runs out, you can apply it again and just do your increased nature damage. So this Toxic Arrow is really, really, really strong. Not by itself, but what it does to the rest of the Ranger's kit. Fantastic move. Fantastic move. Then we have the Ranger's Flask. Now this move right here is, I would say, one of the most crucial abilities for the Ranger's survivability. So this is just flat damage mitigation, 45% for 8 seconds, which is really nice to cut all the damage taken by almost in half, especially if your healing vapors are on cooldown and you've used Samrock's Wicked Grog to break CC, so you can't use a rejuvenation potion. Ranger's Flask is a good fallback ability. Like, oh, I might die soon. Ranger's Flask, and you should be safe. Not to mention the 8-second buff is pretty nice. It lasts longer than it feels like. And then the last ability we're going to talk about is Blessing of Finesse. I already did touch on this briefly when I was going over the pros and cons. This move is cool. I do like it. As an ultimate ability, I wish it had more oomph. Now, if that was increasing attack speed and movement speed by 15%, I think that'd be great. I mean, you have the Avatar state with the Cleric that increases all damage and healing by 15%, but the buff literally only lasts for like 15 seconds. So, you know, with this being a 10-minute buff, that's pretty nice. It's kind of like the buff from the Champions, which I'll get to them in the next video, but the Blessing of Finesse I just feel is a little lackluster. You know, out of all the moves in the arsenal, I would forget about this one the most, even though I have it active all the time. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, so now we're going to move on to the one-handed and two-handed weapon differences. Okay, so currently I have the one-handed buff, which is for the shield, Skirmisher. It increases your attack speed by 25%, crit chance by 5%, and armor by 10% when you're using a shield. So this is just for your one-handed crossbows. And honestly, this is a really good buff. I know that you have way more damage output overall with the two-handed bows, but the added attack speed, I really notice with the crossbows. Having a more crit chance is nice, and more armor is definitely needed with the Ranger class. And the two-handed weapon buff is the Hunter. You get ranged attack power increased by 25%, that's huge. crit damage increase by 15%, spell pen by 30, and it reduces the armor by 5% when you're using a two-handed weapon, which for the ranger is a standard bow. So this is a huge buff. Pretty much goes in line with what we see with the other classes, where if you use the two-handed weapon, you do just get a flat 25% damage increase to your spells. I won't say spell power because that's just wizard and cleric, but like your abilities. So this one, you get ranged attack power 25% increase. That's crazy. That means all of your moves are going to do more damage. The crit damage by 15% is also crazy. The 30 spell pen is really nice. You could also throw some armor pen in there to help balance it out. It does reduce your armor by 5%, but I feel that the other buffs that you get just greatly overshadow that minus 5% armor. So for me, fantastic weapon buffs all around. I don't really have a favorite. I'm using the one-handed right now because I have the Demon Lord set. I will probably change off of it to two-handed once I finish farming the Wanderer set, because I am using the Dread Ranger and Wanderer set. Go really well together. But we are about to get into that. So now we're moving on to the Elite sets. So the Crypt Stalker set for the Ranger, here it is. My braces and gloves are different colors because I painted them. But the Crypt Stalker set is actually fantastic. Going down the set bonuses, the first one reduces the cooldown of Toxic Arrow by 4 seconds, so that turns the 5-second cooldown into a 1-second cooldown, which is incredible, because you need to have Toxic Arrow active all the time for the most DPS. Poison Arrow has a 30% chance to reset the cooldown of Blight Arrow. 30% I noticed doesn't happen too often. It feels like it's less than 30 with other set bonuses that I've seen, but the ability to get a free Blight Arrow from Poison Arrow is really nice. Increases the damage of Poison Arrow and Blight Arrow by 40%. Huge damage increase, especially to Poison Arrow, because that's like your main single target DPS move. Paralyzing Shot also has a 30% chance to cast a free Blight Arrow. This is really nice. So you have a 30% chance from Poison Arrow, you have a 30% chance from Paralyzing Shot. So if you Poison Arrow, Paralyze, that's 60% chance, not really 60, but you could get 2 different Blight Arrows for free in that instance. And then the last set bonus is that it increases the AoE of Blight Arrow by 5 meters. I mentioned earlier how crazy good that is. It is crazy good. 5 meters doesn't seem like much until you see it on the ground, and it's like, wow, this is a massive increase. That takes up a whole room. So that really makes Blight Arrow just that much more dangerous for the enemies if you can get a full Crypt Stalker set. And it's not hard to farm Crypt Stalker, since you can farm it in the grasslands. You get 5 fragments in just like 4-5 minutes. You can get it pretty quickly. The tier 1 weapon set is Morb's Seething Demise. So this set is this bow right here, and then I believe it's a ring. Let me double check. Yeah, it's a ring. Also farmable in the grasslands. It's not too hard to get this set. So with Morb's Seething Demise, it increases the duration of Blight Arrow by 3 seconds. So instead of being on the ground for 5 seconds, it stays on the ground for 8 seconds. And if you're using the Crypt Stalker set, it's just a massive AoE that does 40% more damage and lasts for 3 seconds longer. That's a huge overall buff to Blight Arrow. And then the final buff for the set is that Rapid Fire resets the cooldown of Healing Vapors. This is incredible. Healing Vapors is already arguably the best heal in the game. So the fact that you can use Rapid Fire and get your heal back instantly, you can really, really, really stay on top of your heals with the Morb's Seething Demise set. Alright, so moving on to the Wanderers set. I don't have the Wanderers set yet. This is the tier 2 weapon set. I need to do some more farming. But the tier 2 weapon set gives an increase of damage to Deadly Shot of 30%. I read that terribly. Let me read that back. It increases the damage of Deadly Shot by 30%. The third set bonus is that Deadly Shot increases the damage of your next aim shot, which is your auto attack, by 100%. And then aim shot reduces the cooldown of Deadly Shot by 2 seconds. So the Wanderer set focuses 2 things: Deadly Shot and aim shot, and that's it. And you might think, well, that's kind of cool, but I don't really use a lot of deadly shot because reasons and stuff and all that goodness. But if you combine the Wanderer set with the Dread Ranger set, which I'm about to get into, you get some crazy damage. So here's the Dread Ranger set. Going over the set bonuses, the first set bonus you get is that it increases the damage of deadly shot by 35%. And if you remember, the Wanderer set also increased deadly shot by 30%. So that's 65 damage increase right there. The third bonus is that deadly shot has a 50% chance to perform a free toxic arrow, which is the one that amplifies nature damage. Deadly shot has a 30% chance to reset the cooldown of poison arrow, which is nice. Deadly shot causes your next aim shot to fire multiple arrows at all targets in front of you. Now this might sound like it is similar to salvo, where you just kind of shoot arrows wildly. But instead what it does is when you use deadly shot, your next auto attack is going to shoot 5 arrows in a line right in front of you. It's like a little shotgun blast or a bowcaster if you guys played Wookiees in Star Wars Battlefront. Like it's just a line of bullets. And each bullet hits individually, so if you are next to like a bulkier mob or you're next to a boss, that's 5 auto attacks in one hit. And if you're using the Wanderer set, using deadly shot doubles your next aim shot attack. So you would have potentially 10 auto attacks in one attack. Crazy damage. The sixth bonus for Dread Ranger is that it reduces the cooldown of deadly shot by 3 seconds. This is pretty nice, you know, with the Dread Ranger and the Wanderer set, you want to use deadly shot as much as possible. The cooldown itself isn't too bad, but getting a 3-second reduction makes it really easy to fit in your skill rotations, because you auto attack, deadly shot, aim shot, blight arrow, poison arrow, toxic arrow, rapid fire, deadly shot, aim shot, and so it's like you can just cycle through really smoothly with that cooldown reduction to deadly shot. Really good stuff. I'm on the fence on if I want to go invest in a Crypt Stalker set or if I want to keep doing the Dread Ranger. It sounds like everybody's, or when I say everybody, I mean the Dungeon Masters in the Discord, they're leaning more towards nature damage being more powerful, which makes me want to stick with the Dread Ranger just to see if I can find any more potential here, because the nature damage on the Ranger is already crazy good. The last set I'm going to talk about is the Demon Lord set. Now this set, this bow and shield really benefits your nature damage. It makes it so that your poison arrow does an additional 50% nature damage. So your main DPS move is now getting a 50% boost, and if you're using the Crypt Stalker set, that already increases the damage of poison arrow by 40%. So overall, that's a 90% damage increase. Fantastic. Killing an enemy reduces the cooldown of poison arrow by 1 second. This is pretty nice. I mean, I feel like I'm not really hurting for poison arrow casts. The cooldown comes back pretty quickly, but being able to potentially reset it and reapply poison arrow is really good. Next, we're going to talk about stats. So as I mentioned before, I'm kind of doing like a hybrid setup. So as I mentioned before, Rangers are in a unique class building area where you can focus Armor Pen, or you can focus Spell Pen, or you can focus both. If you want to prioritize your nature damage, I would say only get Spell Pen, Crit Chance, increase nature damage down there at the bottom in the Elemental section, and then increase the duration of Toxic Arrow, increase the damage of Toxic Arrow, increase your aim shot, stuff like that. Just get as much damage out there as possible. You can also focus your physical damage aspect by going Crit Chance, Armor Pen, physical damage, increasing your aim shot, increasing your ranged power. I'm going with a little hybrid of both because I like to use all my skills, so I'm just kind of hoping for the best. You know, just hoping that I just get good damage overall right now. So with that, I'm doing Armor Pen, Spell Pen, and Crit Chance. And then as you see, I'm investing in Aim Shot. My next one is going to go for Ranged Power, and then I was going to invest into physical damage and nature damage separately. Now, gear stats. Gear stats are pretty much going to go kind of the same way as Heroism. I would recommend, you know, of course, doing the bonus percentages first. So bonus health, bonus armor, magic resistance, bonus range power. Those are the 4 you want to prioritize to give yourself the most damage and survivability. After that, that's when you can start getting into the penetrations, the crit chance, the attack speed, the weapon buffs. So like for this one right here, this buffs my Toxic Arrow, which I don't know if you remember, but instead of a 5-second duration, my Toxic Arrow lasts for almost 10 seconds. It's really good. I would also recommend getting... I'm just gonna follow by Deathwind666. Hey, I'm not currently. I'm not live, but since I'm streaming through OBS, it's picking up my notifications. So thank you, Deathwind666, for the follow on my Twitch page. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. As I was saying though, stats. I'm getting fumbled up on my words. So yeah, get the bonus percentages in, get your penetrations in, invest skills in the abilities that you would like. So that's why I went with Toxic Arrow. You can get increases to aim shot, like my weapon. Boom, aim shot damage, really smart to get. You can do attack speed. I don't think attack speed is very important since the ranger seems to have a really fast attack regardless, between one-handed or two-handed. But crit chance is really important as well. So any of those options, I know it's just kind of like, you know, a menagerie of stats. Like I said, you really just have so many options to choose from. You can build the ranger really, really uniquely. I like it. Like I said before, I underestimated how much fun I was going to have with this class. So, yeah, pretty much stats, whatever you want with the ranger. Whatever you want to do, just focus that, and the ranger can do it. And then weapons. So we actually finally got a damage formula from the devs. I'll go over that in a separate video with my intro to Sundaria video. But with weapons, if you get elemental buffs, which I'm really happy to have gotten 5 on a Demon Lord crossbow, that's really good for damage, because the way it works is when you attack an opponent, those elemental damages are separate raw damage inputs. So they all get their own multipliers and everything applied to them. So if you want to do that, that's really good. You can also focus, because the dungeon masters have been really crunching the numbers lately, and they found that if you have the perfect synergy of skills in your weapons, it will supplement the elemental stuff. So if you have plus to your auto attacks and like really good penetrations and crit chances, you could almost keep up with the damage of a high elemental weapon. So I'm still gonna say what I've always said though: get as many elements as possible, and then after that, whatever extra buffs you want. You know, normally for me this is perfect. Increase to attack speed, I mean my auto attack spell, and then 5 elements. I couldn't ask for a better weapon. All right, so I think that about covers the ranger for now. I will start working on the videos, or the scripts for the champion and the rogue. I wanted to release them very close to each other. Hopefully within the next week, I'll have all 3 of these videos uploaded. I apologize for my lack of content lately. I've been super busy with streaming and my personal life and work. Trying to do YouTube as well is rough. But I love making this content for you guys. So hopefully I'll have those new videos out soon. After the class breakdowns, I plan on doing a big intro to Sundaria video, a follow-up to my beginner's tips, which is my most popular dungeons video. So in that video, I want to cover like so many different things that people might have missed, you know, especially if you're new to the game. I just want to set everybody straight. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, if you have any questions, comments, complaints, whatever, leave it in the comments down below. You can find me on Discord. You can hit me up on Twitch. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Catch you around.